Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to set aside the usual self-help bookshelf and turn to a source text that really gets into what you might call the infrastructure of being human.
It's a fascinating one. It claims to explain one of the most common complaints of modern life,
Yeah,
that chronic, just bone-deep exhaustion.
exactly. And this isn't about, just needing more sleep or taking the right vitamins. This deep dive is for the person who is chronically tired.
Not sleepy. That's a key distinction.
Right. It's that weariness that just hangs on even after a vacation, even when you get enough rest. And it often shows up right alongside moments where, objectively you should feel happy or grateful.
You've done all the right things, but the engine is still sputtering.
Yes. And our source text, the story you forgot you were telling, it offers this really profound reframing.
It does. It basically challenges the idea that this tiredness is some kind of pathology, a bug that needs to be fixed.
So it's not a malfunction.
Not at all. It suggests this exhaustion is actually the completely sane response of an organism that's running a massive internal script it didn't even write.
Well, I love the line it uses.
It's powerful. It says, quite simply, your tiredness is intelligence.
And that immediately flips the script on all the self-blame, doesn't it? We think being tired means we failed or we're lazy.
Or not grateful enough, but if it's intelligence, what is it telling you? It's the organism itself hitting the brakes.
Hitting the brakes because
Why?
the sheer amount of energy it takes to maintain this false story, this internal contradiction, is just too high. The intelligence is say, I have to slow down.
So it's an accurate signal.
It's a perfect readout of a system that's burning all its fuel and internal friction instead of forward motion.
So our mission today is to really reveal the specifics of that machinery, all the invisible, cognitive, and somatic work that's eating up your reserves.
And the goal isn't to control it. That's not really possible. No, the goal is to observe it so you can stop being unconsciously controlled by it. We're going to look under the hood. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start by drilling down into this very specific kind of exhaustion. You mentioned it coexists with anxiety, but the source notes something really odd. It often gets worse when you finally have nothing to do.
Right. That's so counterintuitive.
Why does it get worse when we finally relax?
Well, because that relaxation period is when the machinery has fewer external things to focus on, so it turns inward.
Ah.
And then there's this key secondary emotion that comes with it, guilt. You're tired, and then you feel guilty for being tired when you think you should be productive or grateful.
So now you're spending energy on being tired and on performing a version of yourself that isn't tired.
Exactly. And that performance is massively, massively costly.
The source material gives us a pretty clear way to understand the physics of this drain, I guess. It says it's not really about lacking fuel, it's about coherence.
Or the lack of it. The engine analogy is a good one.
Yeah.
An engine doesn't just fail when it's out of gas. It fails because of resistance. The parts are working against each other. That's internal friction. And in human terms, we're spending huge amounts of energy on invisible operations that are all in conflict.
So what are some of the biggest hidden drains the text points to?
They're all about maintaining this fictional CEO of the mind, this I.
Okay.
So things like constantly suppressing anything that contradicts our self-image,
Right.
relitigating things that happened years ago.
Oh, that's a big one.
Huge. And running predictive models about future threats, rehearsing conversations that might never even happen. The engine is redlining,
Yeah.
but all the energy is just going inward to hold the story together.
So there's almost no forward movement.
Very little. And chronic tiredness is just the logical result of a system perpetually at war with itself.
This leads us right to the core cognitive piece we have to look at, the illusion of the thinker.
Yes.
The moment you realize, wait, I don't think my thoughts, they just arrive.
The source has a great challenge for this. Just sit quietly and wait for your next thought. Where did it come from? Did you choose it? Did you build it and then launch it?
No, it just appears.
It just appears. And then a split second later, this internal voice goes, oh, I thought that. The I shows up after the fact to claim ownership.
And the source connects this to hard science, which I found fascinating. It mentions the work of Benjamin Libet from the 80s.
Right, the classic neuroscience experiments, which have been replicated many times since.
What did they show?
They showed that the brain activity for a decision, like just pressing a button, it happens measurable moments before the person has the conscious experience of deciding.
So the feeling of choosing.
Is what the text calls a post hoc add-on.
Okay, let's translate that. A post hoc add-on. That means the feeling of I chose this is just something the brain tacks on after the action has already been started by some other part of the system.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that's where the energy drain comes from.
Else.
Well, if the thoughts are just emerging from the machinery, but you are spending all your time and energy trying to manage them, I have to stop this anxious thought. Or I need to have more positive thoughts. That whole process of claiming and curating them becomes the single biggest energy suck in your system.
I can hear the resistance to this, though. If I didn't choose my anxious thoughts, then who am I? And doesn't that just lead to nihilism? Like, why bother trying to improve?
And those thoughts you just described, that's just the machinery defending its own illusion of being in charge.
Ah.
Source is really clear. This isn't an excuse to just check out. The liberation here is that if you didn't author the anxious thought, then blaming yourself for it is, well, it's illogical.
So the effort to control thinking with more thinking is the trap.
It's the whole trap. The
Yeah.
way out isn't more controlled, it's just watching, seeing the mechanism for what it is.
That separation seems to be the first step in saving some of that energy. So if the thinking mind isn't where the real programming is, where do we look?
The text says we have to go deeper than language. We have to look at the body.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's shift from the mind's thoughts to the body's memory. This is the operating system running all those unauthored scripts.
This is exactly why, as the source points out, traditional talk therapy can sometimes fall short for certain kinds of suffering.
Because the problem isn't in the story you can tell.
Exactly. It's
Yep.
not stored in explicit language-based memory. It's in the body as implicit memory. Overwhelming experiences, especially from before you could even talk, they get coded directly into the nervous system
As what? Like, how are they stored?
as physical patterns. It's not a memory you recall. It's a pattern of tension, a habit of bracing, a tight jaw, a breath that you're always holding. The nervous system becomes the vault for that memory.
So that stored pre-verbal experience basically becomes a filter on everything you see and feel right now.
It's a perfect filter. So, think of the adult whose nervous system registers a raised voice, not just as irritation, but as a full-blown existential threat.
Because they were yelled at as a child.
Repeatedly. They don't have a specific memory of it, but their body, right now in the kitchen, goes straight into a freeze response.
Or the person whose body just grips and clings at the slightest hint of someone leaving.
Because of an early abandonment. Their thinking mind says, my partner is just going to the store, but their body is screaming, abandonment, red alert.
And running those crisis protocols, that internal alarm system, 10/4/7, that's the energy drain.
That's the massive energy drain. The exhaustion is just an accurate reading from an alarm system that's stuck on high.
And these stored programs, they basically form the script for our relational lives, right? Our attachment styles.
They absolutely do. These templates, anxious, avoidant, disorganized, they were mostly set before we were even 4 years old.
So the anxiously attached person's devotion, let's say.
It requires this constant vigilance, this strategy, this desperate search for reassurance, and the avoidant person's independence. It's a huge defense mechanism. It's really just loneliness that's been renamed as self-sufficiency.
And both of them are just huge energy sinks.
Constant energy sinks.
I think this is a really powerful point the text makes, and we should say it again. It is not your fault that you run these programs.
You didn't choose the environment that installed them.
But, and this is the key, the source says it is your responsibility.
And responsibility here just means you're the one who is here now. You're the one who can observe it and work with it.
So the work isn't to fix the body.
No, because it isn't broken. It's running an old program perfectly. The work is just to know it, to be with it, to allow the body to finally complete those responses that got stuck, and to slowly build the capacity to feel that vulnerability without having to react.
Okay, so now we see how the machinery uses perception and emotion to keep this prison of the self going, which of course just continues the whole exhaustion cycle. Let's start with perception itself.
Right. We all have this fundamental belief that we see the world as it is, just objective reality.
But we don't.
No. The source really leans into what neuroscience tells us. We don't see the world, we see a brain-made construction of it. I guess.
Our brain gets little bits of data and then just fills in the gaps.
Exactly. It's designed to predict what's out there, far more than it's designed to truly perceive it in real time. Our vision is a best guess.
Which means our perception is instantly biased by our past, our fears, our desires.
Instantly. The lonely person's whole apparatus is tuned to find evidence of exclusion. They'll see rejection everywhere, because their system is prying to confirm that story.
And the angry person sees offense in every glance.
Because their perceptual machine is tuned for disrespect. The bias isn't in the thinking, it's in the seeing itself. And defending that filtered reality, well, that's another huge energy drain.
And who is doing the defending? We talk about the self as if it's one thing.
But the text argues we're more like a multiplicity, a committee.
We've all felt that, right? I want to do this, but then I immediately sabotage myself.
That's the achiever part versus the rebel part, or the wounded child part. The self is like a parliament. You've got the critic, the caretaker, the idealist, and they're all fighting for the microphone.
And the exhaustion we feel is basically the outcome of this internal civil war.
Absolutely. The I is just whichever part is speaking at that moment. We're tired because we're constantly trying to manage these parts and maintain the illusion that there's one unified commander running the whole show.
This internal fight also turns fleeting feelings into a permanent identity. The text explains this with a great concept. The weather versus the climate.
I love this part. Neurochemically, the actual lifespan of a pure emotion, if you just feel it without a story, is about 90 seconds.
90 seconds. That's it.
That's the weather, a quick squall that passes.
But that's not what we do. What do we do?
We grab it. The mind grabs that feeling, say, sadness. It immediately builds a whole story on top of it. I am sad because I'm unlovable and I'll always be alone.
So the transient weather becomes a chronic emotional climate, an identity.
Exactly. And maintaining that identity, I am the wrong one, I am the martyr, requires constant energy. The identity is this exhausting construction project built on top of a simple, fleeting emotion.
So when we feel this deep weariness from all the friction and bracing and storytelling, our first impulse is to escape.
Of course.
And the source talks about these escape attempts, the drinking, the endless scrolling, the workaholism. It says these aren't moral failings.
No, they're intelligent survival responses. If your internal world feels unlivable, if you're trapped in this anxious, self-critical loop, then a vice is a pretty rational strategy to find some relief. You're looking for an anesthetic.
But here's the paradox, right? The strategies just end up creating the very conditions that make them necessary.
They tighten the chains. The alcohol that numbs the pain today ensures the anxiety comes back stronger tomorrow. The scrolling that numbs you reduces your tolerance for stillness, which makes you need the distraction even more.
So trying to escape the prison just reinforces the walls.
It does. And the text is clear. The way out isn't more willpower. That's just another strategy from the same machine. The path is being willing to turn toward and actually feel what you've been running from.
Okay, as we start to bring this all together, let's look at the path toward what the source calls the opening. If we can't use willpower, what actually breaks the machinery?
The source is brutally honest about this. It says you can't will your own awakening. The small self can't fix the small self.
So what does?
The machinery breaks when it encounters something it simply cannot process, something it can't fit into the story.
And you can't schedule these things.
No, you can't achieve them. The text lists them. Shock, awe, exhaustion, love, failure. These are the things that create a sudden gap in the narrative.
So the task isn't to fix anything. It's to stop the constant exhausting work of reinforcing the machine and just allow the breaking to happen when it happens.
Pressure's off. And this leads to this beautiful idea of living without resolving.
We all have this fantasy, don't we? That one day the anxiety will just end, the conflict will be over, we'll arrive at this place of peace, and then our real life can start.
But that's the fantasy. The shift is realizing that peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's a different relationship to it.
You stop waiting for the conditions to be right. You stop waiting for the anxiety to leave before you show up for your life.
The secret that gets revealed is so simple. The life you were seeking.
Yeah.
It's the one you've been living all along. This one. Right now. Just seen clearly, without the filter of that exhausting story.
For listeners who are really feeling this, what are some of the concrete ideas the source offers for integrating this?
Well, for the body, it suggests things like somatic work, movement, or just sitting still and allowing the body's sensations to be there without trying to manage them.
And for all those conflicting internal parts.
Treat them with curiosity, not conquest. That's the heart of things like internal family systems or parts work. Instead of trying to silence your inner critic, you ask it, what are you so afraid of? What are you trying to protect me from?
And what about for the story itself, the big narrative of who we are?
Let life challenge it. Seek out what you normally avoid. Pay attention to the world as if you're seeing it for the very first time. The machinery runs on autopilot and prediction. So disrupt the prediction. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the source suggests that the seeking itself is the exhaustion. The part of you that wants resolution is the very thing preventing the realization that resolution was never the point.
So the one who seeks will never find.
Because the one who seeks is the barrier to finding.
The tiredness you've been fighting so hard was never a problem to be solved.
Yeah.
It was a doorway you were standing in front of, waiting for permission to enter. You were always already through.